Al Pacino agreed to an interview with the popular young actor Michael Ward, but what the movie legend said about the newcomer made all the audience stand up. Before we dive into the story, let us know where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the latest stories. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Spotlight Hour. Tonight we have a true spectacle, two screen titans, Al Pacino and Michael Ward, here to discuss their explosive new film, Echoes of Tomorrow. Voss's voice thundered, his arms flung wide as the audience buzzed with excitement. Michael waved modestly, settling into the plush chair beside Pacino, who offered a curt nod, his expression remaining inscrutable. "Let's start with you, Michael," Voss said, his tone smooth as silk. Echoes of Tomorrow. It's a heavy film, isn't it? Post-apocalyptic, shattered communities, your character Jamal fighting to hold it all together. What was it like stepping into that role? Michael leaned forward, his hands clasped. It was intense, Julian. Jamal's story hit close to home. I saw what it means to fight for your place, to build something from nothing growing up. The script spoke to me because it's about resilience, about hope even when everything's crumbling. And working with Al? He smiled, glancing at Pacino. It was like attending acting school every day. The audience chuckled, and Voss nodded, his smile tightening. Al, you play Marcus, the seasoned veteran who takes Jamal under his wing. What drew you to this project? Pacino's eyes narrowed slightly, his voice low and deliberate. It's a story about survival, Julian. Real stakes, real pain. I liked that it doesn't pull punches, and Michael... He paused, turning to his co-star. He's got something, you know? Raw energy. But he's unpolished. Needs work. The comment landed like a pebble in a still pond, sending ripples through the room. Michael's smile faltered for a moment, but he quickly recovered, nodding graciously. Always learning, he said lightly, though a flicker of surprise flashed in his eyes. Voss seized the moment, his grin widening. Unpolished, huh? Interesting word, Al. Care to elaborate? The audience leaned in, sensing a shift in the air. Sarah, backstage, gripped her clipboard tighter, muttering, "Here we go." Pacino leaned back, his hands gesturing expansively. Look, I've been in this game a long time. I've seen so many young ones come and go, all with big dreams. Michael's got potential, sure, but potential's just the start. You need discipline, craft, something real in the eyes. His tone sharpened, his gaze locking onto Michael. I'm not sure I see that yet. Honestly, I look at you and think, I don't know if some kid from Africa has what it takes to carry a film like this. The studio fell silent, as if the air had been sucked out of the room. The audience gasped, their collective breath echoing in the sudden stillness. Michael's face froze, his jaw tightening as he processed the words. Some kid from Africa. The phrase hung like a guillotine, slicing through the veneer of civility. Voss's eyes gleamed, his silence an invitation to more chaos. Backstage, Sarah's clipboard clattered to the floor. He did not just say that, she hissed to the producer beside her, who was already on his headset, frantically signaling the director to cut to commercial. Whispers erupted in the control room, camera operators exchanging wide-eyed glances. On social media, the first posts were already surfacing. Jack's Spotlight Hour was trending, clips of Pacino's comments spreading like wildfire. Michael sat motionless, his hands still clasped, but his eyes burned with quiet intensity. He felt the weight of the room, thousands of eyes watching, waiting for his response. Voss, sensing blood in the water, leaned forward. Michael, that's a harsh thing to hear from a legend like Al. What do you say? Michael took a slow, deliberate breath, his voice steady when he finally spoke. With all due respect to Mr. Pacino, I'm not some kid from Africa. I'm Michael Ward, born and raised in London, son of Jamaican parents who worked their whole lives to give me a chance. I earned my place on that set same as anyone. His tone was calm but unyielding, each word measured yet laced with fire. This industry, it's tough, yeah, but it's not about where you're from or what someone thinks you can't do. It's about what you show up and deliver. And I delivered in Echoes of Tomorrow. The work speaks for itself. The audience erupted in applause, a wave of support drowning out the lingering tension. Pacino's expression didn't change, but his eyes flickered, as if reassessing. Voss, caught off guard by Michael's poise, scrambled to regain control. That's a powerful response, Michael. Al, what do you think? Pacino's lips twitched, a half-smile that could have been admiration or defiance. The kid's got guts, I'll give him that, he said, his voice softer now, but the damage was done. The audience's cheers turned to murmurs, a mix of admiration for Michael and unease at Pacino's words. In the control room, the producer snapped, "We're going to commercial now." As the show cut to a break, Sarah rushed toward Michael's dressing room, her phone buzzing with notifications from publicists and agents. Twitter was ablaze. # Michael Ward and # Al Pacino were trending alongside # Spotlight Hour. Posts ranged from outrage, "Pacino crossed a line, who does he think he is?" to fervent support for Michael. This man showed more class in 30 seconds than Pacino has in years. Arca stand with Michael. Celebrities began chiming in, with actors like John Boyega and Lupita Nyong'o tweeting praise for Michael's dignity. What do you think of this moment? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss the power of resilience. Subscribe for more stories that spark conversation. When the Spotlight Hour returned after the commercial break, the studio hummed with tension like the calm before a storm. Bright spotlights shone even brighter, amplifying the contrast between the stage's gleam and the heavy atmosphere hanging in the air. The audience sat on the edge of their seats, their whispers mingling with the hum of equipment. Cameras slowly zoomed in, capturing every move of Michael Ward, whose expression remained calm, but whose eyes blazed with determination. Al Pacino sat back in his chair, arms crossed, a faint smirk playing on his lips as if savoring the chaos he had unleashed. Julian Voss, the host with a predatory gaze, tapped his fingers on the table, his smile both encouraging and sinister. Backstage, producers argued frantically. "We can't let this spiral out of control," hissed head producer Andrew into his headset. "If Voss throws more fuel on the fire, we'll lose all our sponsors by morning." Michael's publicist, Sarah, stood nearby, her face pale but her eyes burning with anger. She had just received a message from Michael's agent. "Social media is exploding. We need to keep him in the spotlight, but don't let Voss trap him." On the screens in the control room, tweets with hashtags Yishachi, Stand with Michael, and Shacha Pacino Cancel flashed, while the clip of Michael's response racked up views by the second. Voss cleared his throat, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "Welcome back to the Spotlight Hour. We just witnessed quite a heated moment between our guests, Al Pacino and Michael Ward. Let's continue." He turned to Pacino, his eyes gleaming. "But you said something pretty provocative before the break. Care to explain what you meant by calling Michael some kid from Africa?" Escalation of the conflict. Pacino leaned forward slowly, his voice low, almost a whisper, but each word sliced like a blade. "Listen, Julian, this isn't about offense. It's about reality. I've seen a lot of actors in my life, European, American, all kinds. There's something in European actors, depth, history, something that touches the soul." He turned to Michael, his gaze cold and assessing. "African actors, whether from the diaspora or elsewhere, I just don't see that in them. They lack, how do I put it, that spark that gets under your skin." The room exploded with whispers and gasps. Some in the audience gasped, others shook their heads, their phones already recording every word. In the control room, Andrew shouted, "Is he serious? We're live!" Sarah clenched her fists backstage, her nails digging into her palms. "This isn't just an insult, it's racism," she muttered, typing a message to Michael's agent. On Twitter, the hashtag #PacinoOut gained traction, while fans of Michael launched petitions demanding an apology. Michael sat still, his face a mask of calm, but his eyes blazed. He felt the weight of Pacino's words, their poisonous undertone aiming to diminish not just his talent but his entire heritage. Voss, sensing the tension, leaned toward Michael. "Michael, that's a serious accusation. Al is essentially saying you don't have what it takes to stand with European actors." How do you respond? Michael exhaled slowly, his voice even but infused with a power that made the audience hold its breath. Mr. Pacino, I respect your career. You're a legend, and I've learned a lot working with you. But let me say something. He leaned forward, his gaze direct and unyielding. My spark isn't something you can measure by your standards. It comes from my ancestors who endured slavery, colonialism, and all who said we couldn't. It comes from my mother, who worked 3 jobs so I could attend acting classes. It comes from my people who for centuries created art, stories, music that inspire the world, even when they tried to silence us. The audience erupted in applause, some rising to their feet with shouts of support. Michael raised a hand, asking for silence, his voice growing louder but retaining its dignity. You say African actors lack depth? Then you haven't looked. We carry whole worlds: pain, joy, struggle, love. And I'm not just some kid. I'm Michael Ward, and my work in Echoes of Tomorrow proves I can stand beside anyone, European, American, whoever. My spark doesn't need your approval. It burns on its own. The room exploded with ovations, people standing and clapping, their cheers drowning out the show's music. Pacino sat silently, his face impassive, but a shadow of uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Voss, for the first time that night, looked flustered, his smile fading. That was powerful, Michael, he stammered, trying to regain control. Anything else you'd like to add? Pacino raised a hand, his voice quieter but still sharp. I didn't mean to offend, kid, but you'll have to prove me wrong. Not with words, but with work. Michael smiled, his grin sharp as a blade. I'm already doing it, Mr. Pacino. Watch closely. Aftermath. When the show ended, social media erupted. The clip of Michael's speech racked up tens of millions of views within hours, with hashtags number Michael Ward and number Stand with Michael dominating platforms. Celebrities, from Denzel Washington to Zoe Kravitz, posted messages of support. Michael Ward just showed what real strength looks like. Bravo. A petition demanding an apology from Pacino gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures, while articles in Variety and The Hollywood Reporter dubbed the incident a defining moment in Hollywood. For Voss, the consequences were catastrophic. Sponsors of the Spotlight Hour began withdrawing funding, citing the host's unacceptable behavior for failing to curb the escalation. Behind closed doors, network producers discussed firing Voss, and his reputation as a provocation genius began to crumble. Memes mocking his clumsy attempt to manage the situation flooded X, with the hashtag VossFlop going viral. Meanwhile, Michael Ward emerged as a symbol of dignity and resilience. His speech sparked discussions about racism in Hollywood, cancel culture, and ethics in entertainment. Blogs and podcasts debated how the young actor challenged a living legend without losing his self-respect. Echoes of Tomorrow gained added attention, with box office numbers soaring as audiences flocked to see the work Michael so passionately defended. Backstage, Michael sat in his dressing room, scrolling through messages of support on his phone. Sarah, his publicist, smiled, her eyes glistening with tears. You changed the game today, Michael. The world is watching you. Michael nodded, his gaze thoughtful. I just spoke the truth, he replied quietly, and I'm not done yet. What do you think of this moment? Did Michael's resilience inspire you? Share your thoughts in the comments and join the conversation about respect, dignity, and the power of character. Subscribe to catch more thought-provoking stories.